From the studios of Books in Motion, this is Damon Abdallah reading The Bygone Archive, Book 2 in the Greater Lands Saga by Joseph R. Lallo. Now, let's begin with the prologue. Always know who pulls the strings. It was a lesson he'd learned long ago, and moments like this made it painfully clear why. The man rubbed the scar on his temple and glared at the two brutes to either side of him. "How much are they paying you?" he growled. "Whatever it is, you aren't worth it. Paid to keep an eye on a man with his hands bound behind his back. Pitiful. Untie me and we'll see who the real man is." The thugs didn't bother giving him a second glance. For all he knew, they didn't speak the language. But he'd been sent scurrying from Bethshire with his tail between his legs. After that, he'd spent weeks trying to avoid the Bolivans, who felt as though he owed them compensation for the priceless equipment he'd lost on his last mission. When he was finally cornered and subdued, it happened without giving him a chance to deliver so much as a black eye to his captors. The entire experience had left him spoiling for a fight. That even these muscle-headed dolts wouldn't offer him the dignity of a taunt in reply was downright torturous. He gave each of them a sideways glance. They were big, bigger than a human being ought to be. The fists wrapped around his upper arm were practically the size of his thigh. These boys had some mystic blood in them. Maybe, just this once, it was best if he didn't succeed in prompting a scuffle. Without a knife in his hand, he might not come out on top. They half-led, half-carried him through an old hallway in a decrepit building up near the northern end of Quar. Dust caked every surface. Windows without glass or curtains cast stark light through doorways that had been stripped of their doors. The only evidence this place had been used at all in the last decade was the floor of the hallway, which had been shuffled clean by no doubt countless similar instances of dragging captives through. Ahead, a single intact door seemed to be their destination. His captors shoved the door open to reveal a small interior room. Compared to the rest of the house, it was black as pitch. No window, and only one small flame casting light. The room had been divided in two by a stout wooden screen. Intricate clover-shaped holes had been carved through it, and it completely blocked off the back half of the chamber such that there must have been another door on the opposite side to let people into the space behind the screen. They dropped him roughly into a wooden chair, the only bit of furniture on the near side of the screen, then shuffled out the door and slammed it behind. Temple took stock of his surroundings. The room smelled of soot and lamp oil. The lamp on the other side of the screen projected the carved shapes faintly onto the walls around him. They were twisted and distorted in ways that seemed wrong somehow. He could see the shadows of their feet beneath the door. There'd be no getting past them. He stood and struggled with his bound hands. "I wouldn't waste your time," came a soft, calm voice from the other side of the screen. "My associates can be a trifle indelicate when someone misbehaves." Temple froze and glared through the screen. Whoever spoke had done so at a whisper. It was difficult to determine even the gender of his captor. His short time in the darkness hadn't given his eyes much time to adjust, but he could just make out the curve of a big antique chair on the other side of the screen. The flame was positioned such that whoever sat in it was entirely swallowed by its shadow. "You aren't Bolivan. I know who hired me, the kind of people they are. This doesn't strike me as Bolivan, so I don't owe you a duat." "While I'm tempted to challenge you on just how comprehensive a knowledge of the Bolivan organization you may have, as it happens, you are broadly correct. I am not, at this moment, acting as a representative of the Bolivan family. But that by no means implies that you do not owe me anything." "I run one contract at a time, and I don't borrow money." "This isn't about what you had planned. This is about what I had planned for you. And you botched it terribly." "You don't get to make plans for me without paying my price." "I admire the gumption of a man who would attempt to make financial demands while tied up in a house half a mountain away from the nearest person who might hear your screams." "You can't get work out of a corpse, so if you're looking to deal, you're not going to kill me." "I can't get work out of a recalcitrant wretch either, which makes
Sample complete. Ready to continue?